Good morning. It is September 12th, 2023. We're going to be doing the New York Times Daily News Letter by David Leonhardt today. We're covering the Republican Party's shrinking advantage in the Electoral College, as well as aid in Morocco, floods in Libya, and Aaron Rodgers. Let's see. All politics is national. The Electoral College has been kind to the Republican Party in the 21st century. George W. Bush won the presidency in 2000 despite losing the popular vote, and Donald Trump did the same in 2016. It's actually entirely irrelevant. It doesn't matter at all. But over the past few years, the Republican advantage in the Electoral College seems to have shrunk, as Nate Cohen, the Times chief political analyst, points out in his newsletter. Republicans are no longer faring significantly better in the states likely to decide the presidential election, like Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, all three of which changed their rules illegally in 2020 against their legislature and constitution, and courts ruled that they were wrong. So it's not so much that they're losing their, an advantage as so much as the Democrats are cheating. Let's see. Instead, a 2024 race between Biden and Trump looks extremely close, with a tiny lead for Biden both nationally and in the swing states. What's going on here? Democrats have lost some ground in comfortably blue states like New York, while gaining some in swing states like Pennsylvania. At this point, Nate writes, another large Trump Electoral College advantage cannot be assumed. In today's newsletter, we'll examine the main reasons for the trends. This is going to be fun because it's pure propaganda. They're just going to flat out lie. Okay, an unexpected shift. One surprising feature of American politics since Trump's 2016 victory has been the decline in some forms of polarization. No, in fact, it's the opposite, and you have polarized everything and turned everything political, but it's the media doing that. Many political analysts, including me, assumed that Trump's presidency would aggravate racial gaps in voting, given Trump's embrace of white nationalism. That's a flat-out lie. He did not embrace white nationalism ever during his presidency. I'm curious what this article is going to be. Donald Trump's racism, the definitive list updated. Yeah. So just more propaganda here. We'll go through it. Okay. We were wrong. Yes, of course you were wrong, because you lied. Instead, the racial gaps have narrowed. Yeah, because Trump did better than any GOP candidate since 1960, because he's not racist. Despite the fact that you had 95% negative news coverage, he gained 11 million votes. White voters have moved towards the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party is becoming more overtly racist. So the overt racists are going back to the Democratic Party, where they were always part of. The Democrats were always racist. There wasn't ever a flip. That's a lie. While Asian, Black, and Hispanic voters have moved to the right. Voters of color still lean clearly Democratic, and white voters clearly Republican, but the shifts are big enough to matter. White voters have helped Democrats win recent elections in the Midwest and Georgia, while voters of color have helped Republicans keep their hold on Florida and Texas. Nobody has come up with a comprehensive explanation. It's pretty simple. See, the Democrats are racist, so they're pushing away people of color. That's how. But there are some plausible theories. Yeah, Democrats are racist. In much of the world, left-leaning parties are increasingly attractive to college graduates. That's because the colleges are hardcore Marxist, and they make people that don't have critical thinking. So they go towards the Democratic Party, where all of the dumb people are. The U.S., where the Republican Party denies climate change because it doesn't, that's not an existent thing. Climate change that's a made-up term. It's global boiling now. Remember. And spreads conspiracy theories. Oh, conspiracy theories. You mean like Barack Obama, Donald Trump hired hookers to pee on a bed because Obama slept on it, and Putin has a tape of it and is blackmailing him? You mean like Alpha Bank and Trump had a secret server communicating, like Concord and Trump, like the Russians and Trump? Yeah, conspiracy theories. That would be what the Democrats do. So there's some good projection. And college graduates are disproportionately white. On the flip side, polls suggest that some voters of color have been influenced by economic trends. After years of weak performance, the economy fared better while Trump was president. Wow, they admitted that. How much credit he deserves is another matter. How much credit Obama deserves for tanking the country is not in question. He destroyed the middle class. We lost $3,500 in purchasing power under Obama, gained it back under Trump, and then immediately lost it under Biden. So it's not hard to just figure that out. Corona interrupted that boom. But some voters evidently appreciated the Republican emphasis on reopening the economy because that was the correct thing to do. Even California, Newsom admitted that he did it wrong. In an analysis of the Republicans' unexpectedly strong 2020 showing in Texas, Equius Research, a research firm that focuses on Latinos, cited voters' frustration with lockdowns. Also, Latinos don't like abortion. They don't kill their kids. Social issues probably play a role too. Many voters of color are moderate on these issues, but the most progressive segment of the American public, by contrast, is disproportionately white. Yeah, because they're the ones that go to college and believe in the Marxism. The Pew Research Center has documented as the progressive left becomes bolder on gender, immigration, policing, and other subjects, it has alienated some of the voters of color for whom it claims to speak. That's cool. They're actually admitting that your progressivism on gender, which you've made up, immigration, which is open borders, destroys the country, and you want to get rid of cops, which, as you might not expect, non-criminals don't want that, and most black people are not criminals, unlike what Democrats seem to think. Whatever the full explanation, decline in racial polarization has diminished the Republicans' advantage in the Electoral College. That advantage has existed partly because swing states like Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin are heavily white. Nate notes. Blue states, less blue. In addition to race, polarization has declined in another way. Some blue states have become a little less blue, with some once reddish swing states have turned bluish. In both types of places, Nate suggests voters are unhappy with what they consider the excess of their own party. In swing states, the Republican Party has damaged itself by trying to ban abortion and spreading lies about the 2020 election. That's not really true. Nobody spread any lies. They just questioned obvious fraud. The lies would be that it was the safest and most secure election in history. That's not true. In solidly blue states, however, an overturned election or abortion ban is implausible. Instead, some voters have apparently grown dissatisfied with Democratic politicians who have been in charge while other problems have mounted. Crime remains elevated. Yeah, it's at record levels. Cities are struggling to handle a surge of migrants. Yeah, because you opened the borders. Education issues, including new admission policies for magnet high schools, have hurt the party in some areas. Moderate voters in blue states, say around Portland, Oregon, have no need to fear whether their state's conservatives will enact new restrictions on transgender rights or abortion rights, but they might wonder whether the left has gone too far in pursuing equity in public schools, Nate writes. They might increasingly harbor doubts about progressive attitudes on drugs, the homeless, and crime, as visible drug use among the homeless in Portland becomes national news. If one voter in solidly blue Oregon flips the Republicans and another voter in swing states Arizona moves to the Democrats, the Republican Electoral College edge shrinks. Nate emphasized that these trends are not guaranteed to continue. Perhaps the Republican edge will reemerge by 2024, or perhaps the election will be so close that even a tiny Republican edge will decide the outcome. For now, though, a key feature of recent American politics has receded. Nate is one hell of a liar. That's some great propaganda. And notice that nowhere in there have they even remotely suggested the Democrats do anything wrong. Governor Glenn Youngkin hopes his more moderate plans to restrict abortion will keep Virginia red this November. 4 days after the earthquake, many people in mountain villages are still waiting for help. They are digging bodies out of the rubble with their hands. That's awful. When rescuers finally arrived in one village, residents were angry about the pace of aid efforts. Read the full story of one man searching for his daughter. Politics. The House returns today after weeks in recess. Republicans' disagreement over spending could shut down the government this month. No, they won't. They're going to give in to it just like everything else. The Republicans are feckless. There is only one party. It's all fake. Trump lawyers asked a judge in his federal trial on charges of trying to overturn the 2020 election to recuse herself, accusing her of bias. Yeah, because she literally posted on Twitter that Trump is an insurrectionist. She obviously hates him and can't possibly be unbiased. I mean, but it's a joke anyway. Nobody believes that these federal charges or any of the state charges, nobody believes they're anything but political attacks because you can't beat Trump. Biden is planning an expensive ad campaign to reassure voters about his age. Nobody cares. He's not going to be the nominee. The president stopped at an Alaska military base on his way back from Vietnam to mark the anniversary of the September 11th attacks. Oh, you mean to break the tradition of every president since 9/11 has gone down to New York on the day, and Biden broke it. And then he sent cackling Harris to the Pentagon. So he just shunned New York. You know why? Because they hate you. That's why. They hate America. They hate everything about this country. That's why on 9/11, Joe Biden gave Iran $6 billion. Kim Jong-un, North Korea's leader, will make a rare trip outside the country to meet with Vladimir Putin. And he just did that a little while ago. I saw he arrived on an old armored train. North Korea could provide Russia with ammunition it needs for the war in Ukraine, and return the North wants food and aid and advanced technology. The Kim family's preferred way to travel is slow, heavy, bulletproof train. Yeah, it's from like the 70s. Floods washed away neighborhoods in Libya, killing more than 300 people. More than 5,000 are missing. That's awful. China is spreading disinformation about the Maui wildfires using artificial intelligence, claiming the U.S. government started the fires. They didn't necessarily start them, but they certainly let them continue. And then they tried to keep people in their homes. And the people that disobeyed the orders to stay, they lived, and everybody else died. Also, where are the buses? Where are all the school buses? Those vanished, and that's a big issue. In Turkey, researchers saved an American cave expert who fell sick thousands of feet underground. Israel's highest court is about to start reviewing a law that limits its own power. Israelis have been protesting about the law for months, and now Americans are joining them. It's interesting how that is working out. I mean, Israel needs to develop their own constitution. That would be probably part of the thing that would help there. Business. In an antitrust lawsuit against Google, the government is expected to borrow arguments from the landmark case against Microsoft 25 years ago, which didn't really do much, so I doubt anything's going to change here. Disney and Charter ended their standoff, restoring ABC, ESPN, and other channels to around 15 million households. J.M. Smucker, the jelly maker, is buying the snack cake brand Hostess for more than $5 billion, so even more consolidation now, which means prices will go up. It doesn't matter. Hostess is all high fructose corn syrup stuff anyway. You don't want to eat it. And, basically all Schmucker's stuff is high fructose corn syrup crap anyway. TikTok, which often popularizes products, is introducing an in-app shop for users in the U.S. Other big stories: the FDA approved a new corona vaccine formulated for more recent variants. Shots could be available within days. The killer who broke out of Pennsylvania prison previously fled into the wilderness in Brazil to escape a murder investigation. Previously fled into the wilderness in Brazil? Huh? Okay, whatever. Restaurants and unions in California agreed to raise pay to $20 an hour, and then prices are going to skyrocket even more. Montana's renowned rainbow and brown trout are disappearing as waters warm. Actually, they're getting replaced by genetically engineered fish. The salmon are taking over everywhere. Chile's coup in 1973 ended a peaceful revolution. Now the coup's supporters want to separate it from the torture and killings that followed. Yeah, sorry, Pinochet was pretty brutal. And we put him in there. Remember, that was the U.S. that did that. Minority rule in American democracy. We live in a republic, so whatever that is, it's flat out wrong. Let's see. In the U.S., the bridal tradition of taking a husband's last name remains strong. Well, yeah, of course, because here's the thing, ladies. If you want to take your, when you say, I don't want to use my dad's name, or I don't want to use my husband's name, I'm going to keep my maiden name. You mean your father's name, or you want to take, another, you'd like to take your mother's maiden name. You mean your grandfather's name. No matter what, it's a man's name. Like there's no standard where women's last names moves on. It's always going to be the man's, and there's a reason for it. One man can impregnate two women, so we differentiate the children by the last name of the man that impregnated them. So if I have a kid with a woman, her last name will, the kid's last name will be Thompson. If some guy named Smith has a kid with the same woman, those kids are named Smith. You don't use the woman's last name because it wouldn't determine who the father is. Aaron Rodgers, the Jets quarterback. I thought he played for the Packers. I guess he's getting old. They probably trade him. Injured his left ankle early in the game against the Bills. His team went on to win in overtime, so that's probably the end of him. The NBA is considering stricter rules for teams that sit star players in primetime matchups. What, you're not allowed to do that? Okay. Yeah, we're good. We're good with all that. All right. Let's do this. This doesn't look like it's that long of an article. Yeah, and it's mostly just going to be... Okay, so let's just do this. All right, Donald Trump's racism, the definitive lies, updated. Donald Trump has been obsessed with race for the entire time he has been a public figure. That's not true. He had a history of making racist comments as a New York real estate developer in the 1970s, 80s. Not true. More recently, his political rise was built on promulgating the lie that the nation's first black president was born in Kenya. That's not true. He came out and said that it was... he believed the birth certificate, so you're lying again. He then launched his campaign with a speech describing Mexicans as rapists. No, he did not. That's a flat out lie. He said he describes the people that are being sent over. He didn't say all Mexicans are rapists and drug dealers. You're lying. The media often falls back on euphemisms when describing Trump's comments about race, racially loaded, racially charged, racially tinged, racially sensitive. You mean they lie. That's what they're doing, is just flat out lying. And Trump himself has claimed that he is the least racist person. But here's the truth. Donald Trump is a racist. No, that's a lie. He talks about and treats people differently based on their race. That's a lie. He has done so for years. That's a lie. And he's still doing so. That's a lie. Here we have attempted to compile a definitive list of his racist comments, or at least the publicly known ones. All lies, I'm sure. This is going to be fun. Trump's real estate company tried to avoid renting apartments to African Americans in the 1970s and gave preferential treatment to whites, according to the federal government. That's actually not really true. That they accused them, but they did not find them guilty. And you're mischaracterizing it, just like you're doing with the other things. Trump treated black employees in casinos differently from whites, according to multiple sources, none of whom have come forward with any proof. A former hotel executive said Trump criticized a black accountant. Black guys counting my money. I hate it. I think this guy is lazy, and it's probably not his fault because laziness is a trait in blacks. No proof of that, and the guy that claims he said it doesn't come forward with his name. It's because he's a liar, and he knows it, and he would get sued, so he can't come out and publicly do it. So, when they're starting off with this, the rest of this is going to be just lies. Of course, this is the Central Park 5. They admit they're guilty. They're absolutely guilty. They got off on a technicality. I'm not even going to bother this because they did not get exonerated. In 1989, Trump said, I think sometimes a black may think they don't have an advantage or this or that. I've said on occasion, even about myself, if I were starting off today, I would love to be a well-educated black because I really believe they do have an actual advantage. That's not racist. That's talking about affirmative action. Not racist at all. He said, I would love to be a well-educated black. Racist people wouldn't say that. Began a 2016 presidential campaign with a speech displaying Mexican images as criminals and rapists. That's a lie. I already discussed that. Flat out lying. He uses the gang MS-13 to disparage all immigrants. That's a flat-out lie. He did not do that, among many other statements. He has suggested the Obama's protection of the Dreamers, otherwise law-abiding immigrants. No, they're not otherwise law-abiding. They broke the law. Who were brought to the United States illegally as children. See, they broke the law, contributed to the spread of MS-13. He did not. That's actually true. That's a factual statement. MS-13 also admitted this. In 2015, Trump called for a total, complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States, including refusing to readmit Muslim American citizens who are outside of the country all the time. Yeah, he said, and you didn't put it, he said, I'm calling for a ban until we can figure out what the hell is going on. That's all he said. And he talked about it, he didn't talk about banning all Muslims. He just said that with certain countries. So you're lying again. Trump said a federal judge hearing a case about Trump University was biased because of the judge's Mexican heritage. That's not racist. He was talking about the fact that the guy was in fact biased, and it wasn't because of his Mexican heritage. You're just lying. In June 2017, Trump said 15,000 recent immigrants from Haiti all have AIDS, and that 40,000 Nigerians once seeing the United States would not go back to their huts in Africa. What's racist about that? He didn't say that either. Notice how they did it like that. They didn't give the full quote because the full quote is not that. At the White House on January 11th, Trump vulgarly called for less immigration from Haiti and Africa, more from Norway. Not racist. You're just crying. Trump regularly demonized dark-skinned immigrants before the 2018 midterm elections, and his campaign produced an ad about a caravan of migrants traveling through Mexico that was so racist, Fox News declined to air it. He claimed that the caravan included criminals and unknown Middle Easterners. There wasn't anything racist. Fox did not decline to run it. They ran it. I'm not going to bother clicking on there. That's fake. They're just flat out lying. During a White House meeting in 2018, he referred to some undocumented immigrants as animals. Later, he said he would pour into and infest our country. He also claimed without evidence that migrants were bringing diseases into the country. That's just absurd. Again, taking quotes out of context. There's plenty of evidence that migrants bring diseases into the country because that's just logic. Like, that doesn't even make sense. Obama as unqualified, lazy, and un-American. So what? That's you're allowed to say that. That's not racist. An extremely credible source has called my office and told me that Barack Obama's birth certificate is a fraud. Okay, fine. So somebody said, yeah, Obama spent years refusing to release the birth certificate, and Trump, got some media attention out of it. It's not racist. It's, Obama created that. Obama could have ended it right away by releasing his birth certificate, but no, he waited years to do it. He enjoyed the attention. He spent years suggesting the nation's first black president was born not in the United States, but in Kenya, a lie that Trump has still not acknowledged as such. That's false. That's flat out false. He had a press conference where he came out and said, birth certificate's real, Obama's a U.S. citizen. So more lies from the Times, just flat out lying. Trump called Obama, who's editor-in-chief of the Harvard Law Review, a terrible student. Terrible. Yeah, that's not racist. That's just a criticism. And Obama wasn't actually that good of a student. Had editor-in-chief of the Harvard Law Review, except that nobody's been able to show he did much there. So he was kind of a token position. You're allowed to criticize him. And everybody criticizes Trump. You call Trump a bad student and an idiot and all these things. So Trump gets to do the same. Obama has admitted that he spends his mornings watching at ESPN, then he plays golf, fundraises, and grants amnesty to illegals. That's racist? How? Trump frequently claimed that Obama did not work hard as president. That's not racist. Trump falsely claimed that President Obama issued a statement for Kwanzaa, but failed to issue one for Christmas. How's that racist? Urban America as a hellscape. He often casts heavily black American cities as dystopian war zones. In 2016 debate with Hillary Clinton, Trump said our inner cities, African Americans, Hispanics are living in hell because it's so dangerous. You walk down the street, you get shot. Trump also said black voters, you're living in poverty, your schools are no good, you have no jobs. That's not... he's talking about the fact these are Democrat-controlled areas, and he's saying that they're poor. He's not racist. He doesn't hate them. He's saying, hey, this is bad. Let's fix it. How are you going to call that racist? He frequently offers false crime statistics to exaggerate urban crime, including about Oakland, Philadelphia, and Ferguson. But notice, okay, do you have an actual... Is terribly increasing? It's not. Are you... really? Right now, too many families don't feel secure. Just look at the 30 largest cities, and last year alone, the murder rate has increased by an estimated 14%. Here in Philadelphia, the murder rate has been steady. Just terribly increasing. The most accurate interpretation of his remarks about Philadelphia would be to say that the murder rate last year was steady. That is correct. In 2015, the murder rate was 17.86 per 100,000. According to the calculation using police statistics and census data in 2016, it was 17.41. But after saying steady, Trump added, just terribly increasing, which is incorrect. It's true that 2015-16 had higher murder rates in 2013 and 14, but the earlier 2 years had the lowest murder rates the city has seen in decades. So it's just that's not even So that's not, he didn't exaggerate. That's actually true. It's an opinion. That's it. You just have an opinion that it's not terribly high, but Trump says it is. He's allowed to do that. He exaggerates when it comes to the way he uses words, but he didn't exaggerate the crime. He exaggerated the increase. So he didn't exaggerate the statistics either. Just out report, United Kingdom crimes 13% annually amid spread of radical Islamic terror. Not good. We must keep America safe. Not racist. Here's a quick highlight. Crimes committed by dark-skinned people, sometimes exaggerated or lying about them, such as a claim about growing crime from radical Islamic terror. And there is more radical Islamic terror in Britain. How are you going to say there's not? They have to put up walls around their Christmas markets because they could try and run them over. He's very slow to decry hate crimes committed by whites against dark-skinned people, such as the killing of an Indian man in Kansas last year. Just making crap up. He frequently criticizes prominent Afro-Americans for being unpatriotic, ungrateful, and disrespectful. Not racist. He called Puerto Ricans politically motivated ingrates. That's not racist. Pattern of intelligent In July 2019, Trump suggested that 4 minority Democratic congressmen, all of whom are American citizens and 3 of whom were born in the United States, should go back to the totally broken and crime-infested places which they came. Now, that's not what he said. You again took it out of context. He was talking, they were the ones criticizing America, and he said, well, why don't you just go back to the countries that you were, that you came from, and whether they were immigrants, they all are immigrants. They might have been born here, but their families weren't. So he's saying, go back to the countries where your families came from, where you claim that are so much better, and go there. So that's this is good. Friendliness with proud racist and white nationalists. This is, this is just a bunch of crap now, because they just claim people are white nationalists. Oh, and here it is. I knew it. He called some of those who marched alongside white supremacists in Charlottesville last August very fine people. No, he did not. He specifically condemned them. He specifically said, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis who should be totally 100% condemned. That's what he said. So I knew that was going to be it. Let's see. He was reluctant to disavow Duke. No, he wasn't. He disavowed Duke. He doesn't even know who he is. He wasn't paying attention to him. Nobody cares about David Duke. You bring him out every once in a while. Trump hired Steve Bannon. Later, Breitbart made white nationalism a central theme. Whatever. That's just a lie. It featured a section, for example, on black crime. That's not racist. Black people commit crimes. White people commit crimes. Everybody commits crimes. Trump has endorsed or praised politicians who have made racist statements, defended the Confederacy associated with white supremacists, including Ray Moore. And it's, again, Trump pardoned and fulsomely promises praise Joe Arpaio. I'm just... Trump has... okay, so here we go. Trump has trafficked in anti-Semitic caricatures, including the tweeting of a 6-pointed star alongside a pile of cash. He's also been reluctant to condemn anti-Semite attacks on journalism from his supporters, and he echoed neo-Nazi conspiracy theories, saying that Hillary Clinton meets in secret with international players to plot the destruction of the U.S. sovereignty in order to enrich these global financial powers, her special interest friends, and her donors. In White House... and remember, Trump moved the embassy into Jerusalem and got Middle Eastern countries to recognize Israel. He's totally anti-Semitic. In a White House meeting with Korean American intelligence analyst briefing him on Pakistan, Trump wondered aloud why she was not working on North Korean policy. Not racist. Not racist. Not racist. Trump parroted a racist conspiracy theory about the alleged killing of white There are killings of white South African farmers. That's racist to say that? Is that what you're suggesting? So in other words, there's no actual instances of racism in here, no direct evidence, just a bunch of straight up innuendo and lies. I'm shocked. The New York Times lied again.